Okay, on this lesson, we are going to be talking about coordinate grid again. And on here, we are going to look at how to write down the coordinate, an ordered pair. When we have an ordered pair, what was brought up yesterday, the ordered pair is made up of the x point and the y point. So anytime you see something, this would be the x-axis, which runs this way, and the y-axis, which runs that way, or can run that way. Okay. So what it says is the captain of a ship has a chart to help him navigate through the islands. He must follow points that show the deepest part of the channel. List the coordinates the captain needs to follow in the order he will encounter them. So if he's down here and he needs to get up here, we need to figure out what points would he get to in the order. So obviously when we're doing our numbers, it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I want you to think about what would be the very first point or ordered pair or coordinate pair that he would get to. So would it be this one right here? Would that be where he would get to? Would it be this one right here? I'm hoping you're saying no. It should be this one right here. So I want you to think about what is the number where it's located on the x-axis. So what you do is you go across the x-axis this way, and it's located on the 5. So the x-coordinate is 5. And how many up does it go? It is located, now I want you to look and see, even though you've got a landmass in the way, when it comes across, is it on the 2? Where is it located? What is in between 1 and 2? It's at 1 and 1/2. So what I want you to do is I want you with a partner, with your partner beside you, I want you to come up with the numbers, the ordered pair with your partner to create the path that the boat would have to follow in order to get there. So I want you to, on a piece of paper, if you need paper, we can get you paper. You can go get paper, you know where it is. So follow 2, 3, just number it out, 4, 5, and 6, and write out your ordered pair. Okay, so do that. You can have 3 minutes. So I want you to hit pause, and you have 3 minutes. Okay, so number 2, the number 2 spot is right here. So to get to number 2, the x point is right here. And it's in between the 3 and the 4, so the x coordinate is 3 and 1/2. And the y coordinate is 3. You should be checking your numbers. This one right here is at 2, and the y is between the 4 and the 5, 4 and 1/2. Then, so it went here, went here, went here, and now it went here. So this spot is at 4. Then it went to 6. So it went here, then here, then here, then here. Now it goes up to there. So it goes all the way down to 5.5. And across to 7.5. And then the very last one, seven and a half. And 9. So you got those right. Give yourself a little pat on the back. So this next part, you are going to need the white sheet, the lesson 3 coordinate plane template, and you are going to need, hold on. Okay, you should have received the coordinate plane template. It looks like this. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take a moment and I want you to locate the origin and label it. I want you to locate the x-axis and label it. And I want you to locate the y-axis and label it. So take a moment and I want you to do that. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is on here, we are going to, I'm going to give you some directions for what needs to be labeled. So we're going to label it with whole numbers only. The length of one square on the grid, so one square represents 1/4. So if I see this, I'm going to only show it on one spot. One square represents 1/4. But I don't want to go 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. We only want to do it with whole numbers. So what I can do is I know that every time I go 4 squares, I should get a whole number because 4/4 equals one whole number. So when I have 1, 2, 3, 4, you get 1. So every time you do 4 squares, or you say 4, you should do a whole number. So as I do it, I want you to label your whole number. So when you have A, you should have 1. So I want you to do this with me on your template. So we've got 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you should have 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. When I said 4, I should have written the number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. You should have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your very last line should be a 4.
I messed myself up because I wrote 4 twice. Ignore the fact that I wrote 4 twice. I was trying to figure out why mine didn't match. Okay. And not there. Sorry. I was like, how does mine not match? Okay. Okay. So, if we want to know what is the coordinate, what is the x coordinate of A? Just the x coordinate, not the coordinate pair, but just the x coordinate of A, then you could tell me that the x coordinate of A is just 1. Because it's on the x-axis, the x coordinate of A is 1. What is the x coordinate of A is 1. The x coordinate of B, what would the x coordinate of B? I want you to turn to your partner and see if you can figure out the x coordinate of B. Take just a couple seconds to figure that out. The x coordinate of B. So you know it's not 5 because 5 is right here where I was a goober and wrote 4. So if this is 4, 4 and 1/4, 4 and 2/4, this is 4 and 3/4. So the x coordinate of B is 4 and 3/4. So if we were going to write this as an ordered pair or a coordinate pair, since it doesn't go up at all and it's just on there, what would be the y coordinate of A? If you were doing an ordered pair, if it's an x of 1, does it go up? No. So it's 0 because it's on the origin, 0. And the same with B. 4 and 3/4, a y of 0. So what could you tell me? We also need to label our units going up on the y-axis. And each square, again, is 1/4. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 1. I'm going to try not to do my numbers twice again. 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5 way up there where I wrote y-axis, I ran out of room. That's, oops, 5 way up there. Okay. So if I wanted to know the y-axis of C right here, the y-axis of C, well, it's on the line of the y-axis. The y-axis, the y-coordinate is 2. What is the x-coordinate for C? You should be saying it's 0. It doesn't go out to the right at all. So the x-coordinate is 0. It's right here on the line. So I want you to work with your partner to see if you can write out, just write out to the side, the ordered pair for each of these letters. You can work with your partner. You can take 3 minutes. It doesn't take that long, just 3. Okay, go ahead and pause. Okay, so E, if I go out here, the letter E, it goes here, it's on the 2, and it goes up to the 1. So the coordinates for E is over 2, up 1. I'm doing these in no particular order. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going these because they're here. The F, I really hate the lines. They really it makes the board cluttered, but I'm just doing this for right now because I'm showing you how, where to find points. It's 4 on the X, and F is not on the 3. It's at 2, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. 2 and 3/4. Let's see, it'll do G. G is not on 1. 1 and 1/4. It's very important you do the X first. And 3, 1/4, 2/4. And I'm going to simplify that. And then D, what is my X for that? You should have 0, 4, 1/4. And then H, 4 and 1/4. And let's see, we've got 4, 4 and 1/4, 4 and 2/4, which is 4 and 1/2. Hopefully you did pretty good with that. Oh, I forgot about I. Oops, I didn't see that down there. So I is 3 and 1/4. And 1/4. I kind of snuck up on me. Okay. So you can see that coordinate pairs, coordinate grid is pretty simple. The main thing that messes people up is they'll get their X and their Y coordinates reversed. And they'll do the Y coordinate first and then do their X, and that's not correct. One thing you want to try to remember is either the airplane has to go like this before it takes off, you have to go across and then go up, or X comes before Y in the alphabet. You know, any of these little tricks to help you remember. So now next, you will need the problem set to be passed out. So I'll give you a minute to get that passed out. Okay, so what I want you to do, the first thing is in the directions, it says, use the grid below to complete the following tasks. It says, construct an x-axis that passes through points A and B. So it's not just drawing the x-axis right here or the y-axis right there, because that's not what the directions say. The directions say, let me go back up because I can't read my paper. An x-axis that passes through A and B. So I need to find A and B. And it's not, you know, down here. A and B, here's A, here's B. So my x-axis has to go through that. So I need to draw my line through there. So you should have drawn your line through A and B. The next part says, construct a perpendicular y-axis that passes through points C and F. So you need to locate points C and F and draw your y-axis. Label the origin. The coordinate of B is 5 2/3. So when I come over here to B, it is 5 2/3. So I already know that my units are thirds because my denominator is a third. So they're going to be split up into threes. The y coordinate of C is, I think that's 5 1/3. I can't read my paper. 5 1/3. So now what would be a really good idea is to label my units. So I know that if I've got thirds, then I need to go 1, 2, 3, that's 1. 1, 2, 3, that's 2. 1, 2, 3, that's 3. 1, 2, 3, that's 4. 1, 2, 3, that's 5. I'll make sure I didn't write 3 again. 1, 2, see there's 2/3, so we were right. 3, that ends up being 6. I don't think I need it, but I'll put it there anyway. Nope, I don't need it. And now I need to do my y-axis too. 1, 2, 3, there's 1. 1, 2, 3, there's 2. 1, 2, 3, there's 3. 2, 3, there's 4. 1, 2, 3, there's 5, and then there's 1/3. It's right where I'm supposed to be. So you can, what it's going to ask you to do on the next page, it's asking you to use this coordinate sheet to answer the questions. You can work with your partner. Now, you need to actually be working, not playing, not walking around, not doing anything else, because you can't learn when you're playing. So you need to be working with your partner to try to use this grid. You need to follow the directions, use this grid to answer these questions, and then we'll check it. So I'm going to give you about, let's take 15 minutes to work on this, and then you'll check your answers. So do that, and pause. Okay. So mine's a little bit smaller, but I needed my paper. Okay. So it says identify all the points that have an x coordinate of 3 1/3. So I need to locate my x coordinate. So that's everything that's on the x axis. So the x axis is down here. The x axis right here. So the x coordinate of 3 1/3 is right here. So everything that has an x coordinate of 3 1/3 is right here, right here, right here, and right here. So you should have written J, I, H, and D. Because that was everything that was here on this x-axis, on this line, that if I went up that line right there, that would be it, on that line of 3 1/3. The next question, identify all of the points that have a y coordinate of 2 2/3. So if I come over here, here's 2, 2 and 1/3, 2 and 2/3. So that's everything that would be right here on this line. So you've got F, E, H, and K. Right there. Because that was everything. Oops. There's 2. There's 3. So that's everything that was right there on that line that ran right there. Going up that y-axis. Which point is 3 1/3 units above the x-axis? So 3 1/3 units above the x-axis and 2 2/3 units to the right of the y-axis. So I'm going to go 3 1/3 units above the y-axis. Oops, above the x-axis. So if I'm here on my x-axis right here, and I need to go 3 1/3 units above it. So going 3 1/3 units above it, 3 1/3 units above it. So here's 3 1/3 units above the x-axis. And 2 2/3 units to the right of the y-axis. So if I'm here on the y-axis and I need to go 2 2/3 to the right. So I'm going to go 2 2/3 to the right. So here I am going up, right there. G. Which point is located 5, can't read that, 5 1/3 units from the y-axis. So if I'm over, fix that again, over here on the y-axis, if I'm over here on the y, 5 1/3. So 5 1/3, there's only one that is 5 1/3 away from the y-axis. There's nothing else. This one's 5, but this is the only one that's 5 1/3 away from it. Okay. It doesn't say up the y-axis, it says away from it. Which point is located 1 2/3 along the x-axis? You need to pay attention to your vocabulary. Along the x-axis, 1 2/3. So 1 2/3 along the x-axis. So there's only one that is along the x-axis, 1 2/3, M. Because, you know, this one is going up, but that's going up. So that's along the y-axis because it's going up. This one's going this way, so it's along the x-axis. So it's M. Okay, now these should be really easy. So K, if you look for K, that's 5 1/3. And 2 2/3. And I, wherever that one is, that I. Couldn't even find it. So 3 1/3, 1 2/3. getting really messy over here.
B
Holy smokes, I can't find anything on this messy board. I got stuff written everywhere. B is located at 5, 1/3, 2/3. It's along the x-axis, so it's 5 and 2/3. It doesn't go up, so it's 5 and 2/3 with a 0 for the y. C, it goes up, but it does not go to the right at all, so it's 0 for the x and 5 and 1/3. The shape that is 1 and 2/3 and 2/3 is M. The shape that is 0, 2 and 2/3 is F. 1 and 0, A. 2 and 5 and 2/3, N. Which point has an equal x and y coordinate? Is L, because it has 5 and 5. Give the coordinates for the intersection of the two axes. The intersection is 0, 0. And another name for this point on the plane is the origin. So they want you also to plot the following points. You should have done 4 and 1/3 and 4 should be right here, and you should label that P. That is 1/3 and 6. And that's Q. And 4 and 2/3 and 1. And that's R. And 0 and 1 and 2/3. And that's S. What is the distance between E and H? So from E to H, or if I made that a line and called it EH, what is the distance between the two? So if I called that from that's 2/3, and then H is going to 3 and 1/3, what would be the distance between the two? So if we needed to think about that, what would be the distance between the two shapes? Between the two points. And the distance between the 2 points would be 2 and 2/3. One thing you could do, rather than doing all that borrowing stuff, I could make 3 and 3, because I would need to actually flip this around. I could make this improper. That's the difference. And then, I don't see my graph anymore. What is the distance, what is the length of HD? Oops. The length of H to D. If I go from H to D, well, from H, it is, what is that, 2 and 2/3, and D is, oh wait, I won't be doing it that way. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's actually 7 parts that are equal to 1/3. So you could do 7 times 1/3. 7 times 1 is 7. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 goes into 7 2 times. You get 6. It's 2 1/3 units long. Would the length of ED be greater or less than EH plus HD? So the length of ED. So the length of ED we have not figured out. So EH and HD we do know. So EH, I'm going to work it down here. I've got room. EH is 2 2/3. HD is 2 1/3. So here I have 4 3/3 is equal to 5. So this is EH and HD. So we need to figure out what ED. So I got to go back and look at ED. So ED is somewhere. Oh. So if I look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oops, that's weird. 1, 2. I don't even know how they would figure out ED. Because ED would not be I don't know how they would figure out ED. So we're just going to not do that question. Anyway, they say less. And it's a weird diagonal. So Jack was absent when the teacher explained how to describe the location of a point on the coordinate plane. Explain it to him using point J. So if you had to explain to someone who's been absent how to describe the location of a point on the coordinate plane using point J, you should have written something down. So one thing is the X coordinate is the number of units to the right. J is 3 1/3. The Y coordinate is the number of units up. J is 1/3. You name the point by XY. So J is 3 1/3, 1/3. So I'm hoping that you have a pretty good idea of coordinates. I'm hoping that you followed along with the lesson. I'm hoping that you filled this out because coordinates are pretty simple. I'm hoping that you did not play. I'm hoping that you're going to do your homework tonight because I will be checking it on Thursday. Please make sure that you are behaving yourself because I'm not hearing some very good stories. That is not making me happy. So make sure that you do your homework and I will see you on Thursday.